Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President of the Hult International Business School, Stephen Hodges.
Good evening, everybody. Yoran, you work for me. Stop talking. Thank you. You know, I love the Hult Prize. I love it because of the energy. I love it because of the passion and tension. But most of all, I love the Hult Prize because it changes people. It makes people dream again. It makes people want to work together to create a better world. And it encourages people to be entrepreneurs who never thought they could. Behind the Hult Prize is Hult International Business School. We were started just over a decade ago with the simple aim of improving higher education. One of our core beliefs is that to thrive in today's world, students need to be able to think like an entrepreneur. That's why all of our programs encourage students to tackle complex real-world problems. The Hult Prize is a vehicle for making this education freely available to students around the world, no matter what their background. So whilst you might think of the Hult Prize as a competition, we think of it as more than that. We think of it as amazing education. This year, over 25,000 students from all over the world have competed in the Hult Prize. Every single one of those students have learned to put classroom theory into practice. Every single one of these students has learned to have the confidence to pitch their idea. And most importantly, every single one of these students have learned that they can make a difference. That's why we want to continue to expand the reach of the Hult Prize. Not only because we will uncover better and better ideas, but because we will help more and more of this generation to think like entrepreneurs. Something employers and the world in general desperately need. It goes without saying that I always look forward to this event. It's such an amazing evening to be part of. But that is in large part because I am not competing. For the 5 remaining teams, tonight is the Super Bowl, American Idol, and the Nobel Prize all rolled into one. One chance to win $1 million and literally change the world. I can only imagine what the teams are feeling right now. But I do know that they want to get on with it. So without further ado, let me end by wishing all of the teams a very best of luck. I'd like to thank all of you once again for taking the time to be with us here this evening. And to kick things off, let's take a look at last year's Hult Prize.
I'm excited. I mean, I want to see 6 great presentations.
We're here at the Hult Prize Finals 2015.
The adrenaline is pumping through all the students.
I love this night every year. In my opinion, every one of these proposals has tremendous potential to improve the lives of children around the world. This is a big deal.
We custom tailor startups that are literally changing the face of social issues around the world.
We use a playful idea that creates a magical world of colorful characters and fun stories.
An innovation that could transform the chore of hand-washing clothes into the pleasure of sharing books with your child.
With a simple phone call, Tell a Story empowers illiterate parents to read to their children for the first time.
We empower parents to become their children's best educators by building virtual villages of support around them.
We developed an innovative way to allow parents to educate their children through their airtime of their mobile phone.
We're Impact. We provide quality early education by connecting investors with community entrepreneurs to build Quakers.
With that, intermission time, while the judges have a very difficult task.
So what are some of the strengths? Some of the people who pick, some of the judges who pick.
The winner is Impact from National Chengxi University. And please come up here. They earned it. This is going to be exciting to watch this unfold.
If you guys have an idea and you're afraid to tell it to your teammates, just try it.
Smart people executing good ideas gets you here. And if you have one of those, doesn't matter what it is, you could be like us. You could be up on that stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO and founder, Hult Prize Foundation, Ahmad Ashkar.
Thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's an unbelievable experience. We gave you a little bit of a preview as what you're about to see for the rest of this evening. But I wanted to give you a little bit background. I want to first congratulate Taylor Scobie and Impact, and you're going to get to hear from Taylor right after I give you a few welcome words. And I want to just recognize all of the Hult Prize current competing teams and alumni who are here today. Guys, if you could, if you're in the room, if you're an alumni of the Hult Prize, win or lose, please stand up. We want to recognize you and the competing teams here today. I founded the Hult Prize nearly a decade ago, and my main inspiration was as the son of Palestinian immigrants who came to the United States, someone who worked so hard to get through college, earn a job, and take a job on Wall Street. I never realized there was an opportunity to intersect doing good and doing well, creating companies of the future. When I went to Hult International Business School, I realized that there was more than just the pursuit of wealth. A lot of our youth that came before me took on careers of making money. Making money was the way and the medium of showing this society that we've been successful. If you weren't into money, you probably were busy getting your degree and pursuing that pedigree, if not pedigree, then fame. What I realized as a student was there was more than money, more than fame, more than pedigree, and it was something called impact. And impact could be achieved only through the creation of for-good, for-profit enterprise. So as a student then, I was lucky enough to meet Dr. Hodges and, of course, further gain the support of the Hult family. And I just want to recognize and say a couple thank yous before I formally get us rolling for the night. But I do want to thank extensively the Hult family, for whom without this event could not be possible. Thank you, Philip, and the family at large. I also want to thank the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation. I know it's, yeah. It's difficult to imagine New York, 3rd or 4th week in September without the CGI, but I assure you that the Hult Prize will continue. We're excited to have President Clinton here later today to both recognize our winner, but also do something new at our dinner, which we will announce next year's challenge here today. So before we leave today, you'll know what the Hult Prize 2017 is all about, and we're extremely excited about that. The Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative have played a critical role. I just want to call out a couple of people, specifically Bob, CEO of the Clinton Global Initiative. Bob believed in me when I was just about 24 years old. I pitched a radical idea, and Bob, Fred Paus, I think Fred's in the room, he was at CGI at the time, and the rest of the CGI team have been unbelievable and accommodating to have the Hult Prize community merge together with the Clinton Global Initiative community. And we invite all of you guys to continue with us in our journey as we launch next year's Hult Prize and continue to further expand the Hult Prize across the world. I also want to thank the thousands of volunteers who come together every year to put on the Hult Prize. We have a network today which stands at nearly 1 million participants, alumni, or community supporters around the world. We've got thousands of campus directors organizing localized editions of the Hult Prize around the world, and they're all watching on our live stream, and I want to thank each and every one of them for helping us, again, continue the torch moving forward the idea that young people, in order to be sustainable, can create the businesses of tomorrow, and they can do that right now through intersecting for good and for business. Okay? Thank you. With that, why are we all here tonight? So we have 5 finalists. They've been working tremendously, literally since this point last year. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Hult Prize, we issue a challenge every year, and we ask students from around the world to create specific enterprises which are profit-minded, impact-centered, and market-driven. And then they compete in a series of on-campus rounds, in-city rounds, in-country rounds, eventually making it to our regional semifinals, and then here in New York. They've been at this 1 year. And the challenge we posed for them this year was not on how we deliver access to clean water, access to education, or access to affordable housing, like most people that are in the social space oftentimes think of. We shifted the paradigm, and we asked participants this year to focus on the demand side of social. How can we make the people in the urban development world, how can we make their time more valuable? How can we raise their incomes? And we challenge these student entrepreneurs to figure out how to double the income of those residents inside of those crowded urban spaces. And we asked them to do it in the next 5 years to reach over 1 million. So what you'll see today is a year's worth of hard work, over 2.4 million hours of open innovation and leverage of the crowd, time which has been spent hopefully setting a new precedence to what the enterprise of the future looks like. Somebody who's defining the role of what the enterprise of the future looks like is Taylor. We're going to ask Taylor to come up to the stage. Taylor was a one-time app developer. He had the #1 rated app in the United States, and he got lured into the Hult Prize. What we do at the Hult Prize is we don't necessarily go after your usual suspect. We go after students who have never before thought of going into the development space. And Taylor represents everything that we stand for at Hult Prize, and his team Impact, not only in less than 1 year since winning the Hult Prize, has become sustainable. One of the largest countries, I won't announce it, I'll let Taylor announce it if it's public. One of the largest countries in Africa has selected them to be the early childhood daycare and education facility provider on the continent. I mean, that's 1 year from Hult Prize. And it's really exciting for me, the transformational process that happens, but again, you don't need to hear it from me. You can hear it from Taylor. And Taylor, please come up and give the crowd an update as to what you've done with your $1 million winnings.
Up here again. This is great. My name's Taylor, CEO and co-founder of Impact, last year's Hult Prize winners. Now, when I booked my tickets here about a month ago, I kind of expected to show up, enjoy a beautiful meal, watch 5 great teams, actually have a good time, kind of unlike last year. My hopes were dashed when Ahmad sent me an email a few weeks ago with just one line. It said, speech, 4 minutes, 7:10, cool? The familiar feeling of stress just came pouring back. So right after I got that email, my co-founder, JD, who's sitting over there, he looked at me and he said, well, what are you going to talk about? And I kind of laughed and I joked and I said, I'm going to justify doing an undergraduate philosophy degree by talking about my favorite philosopher for 4 minutes. Now, JD laughed it off and said, you wouldn't dare waste everybody's time like that. Now, JD should know better than to tell me I wouldn't dare do something. So instead of, like Ahmad said, delivering an update about Impact tonight, I'm going to talk about my favorite philosopher, who is John Rawls. And did I get a woo over there for John? Thank you, thank you. John Rawls spent his whole career writing about important topics: justice, fairness, how we build better societies. Justice, fairness, how we build better societies. Now, if one of my philosophy teachers is watching me tonight, I'm so sorry for paraphrasing this badly. I'm going to do it anyways. John Rawls asked us to imagine a very simple scenario. Let's take a group of people, let's say everybody in this room, and let's have you imagine that you're tasked with designing the kind of society that you're going to be born into. The only catch here is that you don't know how you're going to be born. You might be born as male, female, black, white, able-bodied, handicapped. If you had to design a society to be born into, how would you design it? Now, Rawls argues quite convincingly in my mind that we would almost never design this society that we have right now. We would never accept a world where, for example, you have a 20% chance to be born into an urban slum. We would design a world that distributes goods and services fairly. We would design a world where your birth does not determine your future opportunities. Now, I remember back in high school, I used to joke with my friends a lot that we truly had things hard in life. And this was kind of a silly little in-joke for a bunch of middle-class white Canadians who had never encountered any struggle in their life. Now, I talk about John Rawls here tonight because for me, John Rawls was the moment. It was the moment I realized that it wasn't just some silly joke. Reading him, I realized that I was born into a very unjust and seriously capricious kind of world. I had amazing parents, supportive. They stood by me through absolutely everything. 6 years of an undergraduate philosophy degree with no complaints. Amazing. My developing world counterpart, his parents might have taken him out of grade 4 to go work in fields or factories to put food on the table. I knew that I couldn't take my privilege and do nothing. Now, I talk about John Rawls here tonight at the Hult Prize dinner because although he showed me the direction, the Hult Prize showed me the path. We're here tonight to celebrate social enterprise, a cause that Ahmad and the Hult Prize and the Hult International Business School have tirelessly championed over the years. Now, we don't get together tonight and redesign society from scratch as much as I would like to, but I truly do believe that social enterprise represents the tool to push us towards a better, more fair future. I think the absolute best example of that is somebody who is here tonight and was one of our judges last year, Muhammad Yunus. His Grameen Bank completely reimagined the institution of lending. Lending was once a bastion of the very rich and the very powerful, and Muhammad Yunus transformed it to be a tool of empowerment for poor women and poor families. And I think the 5 teams who are over here, they're also pushing us into this better future. I spent some time with them in Boston, and to be honest, I think I might be working for one of them in the future. They were truly brilliant, truly inspiring. And I think that Impact, our own company, we're also trying to push us into this better future. Receiving a quality early education is the single biggest predictor of a child's future success. And despite this, the urban poor have almost universally no access to early education. So when JD and I, when we entered the Hult Prize process, we knew we needed to come up with an education solution that we would have for our own children, for all children. This meant quality classrooms, trained teachers, nutritious meals, the works. Nothing was too good for the kids that we are trying to serve. Now, our PlayCare franchise that we developed was our way to try to make this system a reality, and I'm very, very proud to announce here tonight, Ahmad kind of spoiled it for me. That was going to be my big announcement. But our very first PlayCare in Africa is opening in South Africa next month in the township of Kailicha outside Cape Town. And I'm proud to announce that the government of Cape Town has chosen us as the provider to scale up all the ECDs in and around Cape Town. So, you know, my co-founders and I, we were so proud and so honored to stand up here last year with President Clinton twice as winners of the Hult Prize. And I can't say how much it means to me to personally stand up here tonight as Impact CEO to address this amazing room of people who are far more successful and dedicated than I. But these things really do pale in comparison to how proud I feel every time I step into one of our classrooms. Every time I watch one of our students playing, laughing, learning, and smiling, and realizing for the first time that they too have a bright future. Thank you.
Great speech, Taylor. Sorry for stealing your thunder on that one. I'm so proud of you. I'm also proud of is Manish. Where's Manish, our 2014 winner? Are you here? I know I saw you earlier. There you are, over there. Manish, in 2014, we took on the challenge of healthcare in urban slums, and his team stood right up here. Some of you might recall the $1 million faint. The stress is so high up here, one of the team members actually fainted while presenting. NanoHealth went out to win, and currently NanoHealth is one of the largest slum disease testers in India. And they're making a tremendous amount of progress, and slowly but surely, they're establishing themselves as the major player in the healthcare space, operating in one of the most difficult marketplaces in the world for micro healthcare. And again, one of our judges this year, 2013 Hult Prize winner, we'll be announcing him in a little bit, Mohammed Ashur. His company is the largest insect manufacturer for insects for human consumption in the world. So again, a little bit of pressure for our Hult Prize finalists this year, but as you can tell, we're not only about inspiring, we're building the best companies in this space, and it's been an absolute privilege. Now, nobody out there would be even talking about this sector if it wasn't for the next speaker. Professor Muhammad Yunus has been a Hult Prize judge more than 6 times. He's been with us nearly from the beginning. We've asked him this year to say a few words to the competitors and to all of you, because what he predicted many, many moons ago is happening, in that no corporation of the future will be able to exist without considering impact. 9 out of 10 millennial consumers won't even do business with a company if that company doesn't have lasting impact on its society. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus.
Hello, good evening. Nobody wants to listen to any speech before the competition. Everybody is tense. Everybody is waiting to get to the final moment. So I'll make it delayed by a few minutes. Control your tension that you have inside. It's a fun time. That's how I look at it. I've been here many times watching everybody presenting case after case. Each one is a very exciting one. And I see the tension in every single team coming forward, making these presentations. But at the same time, it's a fun time. You have been preparing it, presenting it, every stage of it. You should enjoy, not only while you are presenting it, also after you have done that. And you don't have to say that, well, I didn't get it, but somebody else got it. So what? The idea that you had is a great idea. So you pursue that. This is what it's all about. It's about what you wanted to do. And you spend a lot of time behind it. And I'm saying all that, and I'm feeling very happy that I didn't have to compete in anything. I had no competition. I just did it by myself. And I had fun doing that. So that option still is available to you. You can have fun doing it without joining any competition, because you want to do something, your gut feeling is, this is what I'm going to do. And you do it, and you enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to get the whole world get electrified by it. Any tiny thing is a very important thing. When I started lending money, tiny little thing in the village, I was not doing art shuttering thing. I was just trying to see if that makes sense to people, few dollars. And the famous thing is, I lent $27 to 42 people. That's the big news. Nobody cared, 42 people, $27, nothing. But it grew by step. And I had no idea what this is going to be. Is it going to be something spilling over to the next village or just to stay in a few households in this village? But it grew because time was right. And I did it at a time when people were desperate to do something for survival. And that was the beginning. And one thing led to another. And I grew this whole thing into a whole bank called Grameen Bank, and that was the starting point. Many of you familiar with that. Became known as microcredit and spread all over the world. Started with the tiny little step. So one doesn't have to start in a mega step. And as we were doing that, we saw how sick people are in those poor families. And I started saying, yeah, it's so simple to think. If you are poor in health. So if you're trying to do something to help them to overcome their poverty, you're also addressing their other conditions around them, like health conditions. Every family that I meet, their children are sick. It's a strange disease they had, night blindness. They cannot see after sunset. I had no idea that children could have a disease like that. They go blind after sun goes down. They don't see anything. I was shocked, and I tried to consult my doctor friends what this is all about. They all said, well, this is a disease. It's called night blindness. I said, well, if that's what it exactly describes the whole disease, night blindness. So what do you do with it? Is it something that can be cured, or they're going to lose their eyesight permanently? They said, no, it's a vitamin A deficiency. So if you give them vitamin A tablets, they'll be okay. They will become normal with their eyesight. Or you can feed them vegetables. Vegetables have lots of vitamin A, and they don't eat vegetables. That's one reason they have this problem. So we chose the vegetable option. Tablets, pills, is difficult, where they have to go buy something, and that's not easy. Vegetable is easy. So I started campaigning with them, explaining why they can how they can overcome this night blindness. They didn't pay much attention to what I said. They were polite, yes, we'll do that, but never did that. So I thought maybe I should try to do it more in a focused way so that they understand the importance of it and make it easy. What I did, I started bringing seed to them, vegetable seeds, put them into tiny little packets, less than a penny a packet, and make them available to them, beautiful seeds. And they liked that. They started buying those seeds. And then gradually, more and more seeds are sold. And as Grameen Bank grew, our seed business grew. This was a side business we started. Business, I said, because I sell them. That's why I'm saying it's a business. But it was not the intention of making money out of it. Intention was not to create a burden on the bank by giving them free seeds. This will be an extra burden for them. It will be the cost of the bank. So I said, keep it separate so that it can cover its own cost. As we did that, as Grameen Bank grew, seed business grew, because everybody loved the seed, and their neighbors wanted to buy the seeds also, because it's a good vegetable. At one point, we became the largest seed seller in the country. And night blindness disappeared from the country. Today, if you go back, to Bangladesh and ask any villagers, do you have a child anywhere in this village with a night blindness? They will look at each other. What is night blindness? Never heard of it. It didn't have to, because it's such a simple thing. You don't have your doctor to cure them. Simply a step. And a step taken in a way everybody understood, and a step taken in a way you cover the cost. So it is not a burden on anybody. That's the type of business we did, lots of them in step by step, and started calling them a new kind of business, called them social business. And I started defining it by saying non-dividend company to solve human problems. And it's an exciting thing. Once you do that, you can't stop it. So we have done it hundreds of times, many, many times. More times come. Now it's just spreading many, many countries. That is the beginning of doing business for a purpose only, the purpose of solving problem. And that social business is something I enjoyed. People say, why should anybody do social business if you're not making money? Money is the great incentive in life. If you don't give them the money, nobody will be interested. I said, well, it's true. You may be right that money is a great incentive. But I will never accept the fact, the way if you insist, that money is the only incentive. That I don't accept. I said, there are many other incentives in life. And you are pursuing one incentive, leaving out other incentives. So I'm just drawing out your attention to the other incentives. And I try to put it in a very simple way. I said, look, to me, making money is a happiness. That's why it's incentive. Making other people happy is a super happiness. So that's a great incentive. So it's a question of which incentive you're looking for. So when you are doing all those designs and businesses and so on, think of that. Designing a business to solve the problem, not for making money for yourself, but to solve the problem that you have in front of you. You'll be amazed how much creative you can get. You'll be amazed how easy to solve problems. That's the challenge before you. Wish you good luck. Have a good competition. Now you can have all the attention you want. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Yunus. As always, an inspiration, and a big thank you to him and his team. They've been amazing to us at the Hult Prize, and Professor Yunus personally has been a huge inspiration, mentor, and friend to me personally and the Hult Prize. So, you guys ready? Oh, I'm not going to start. You ready? There you go. There we go. That's better. That's better. So we're going to kick off. We're going to announce the judges one at a time. You guys, please recognize them as they come on, and they'll take their spots. These judges have the ability to be anywhere tonight. They are 7 of the most influential players in banking, social enterprise, government affairs, startups, and nonprofit worlds. It's amazing how much time they give us. They've already been backstage for over an hour, prepping, studying business plans, watching pitches. Prior to this, they've been on over 3 calls, reviewing ideas, asking questions, etc. The amount of time these executives put into this program is unbelievable, and for that, we thank them, and we'll kick off. To begin, Akin Wumi Akdesina, the president of the African Development Bank. Next, we have 2013 Hult Prize winning CEO, Mohammed Ashur from Aspire Food Group. A man who needs no introduction, a legend in the tech sector, John Chambers, Executive Chairman, Cisco. Representing one of Africa's top telecoms, Bob Collymore. And what kind of jury panel would it be without somebody who's spent a lifetime in branding, marketing, communication? Because as we know, no matter how good a startup is, come on out, Brian. Without being able to tell your story, you got nothing. Brian Featherstone from Ogilvy Worldwide. A dear friend and mentor to me, second-time Hult Prize judge and president of one of the world's largest action networks in Earth Day. That's Kathleen Rogers. And last but not least, again, a dear supporter, friend of the Hult Prize, who attends even when he's not a judge just to support our teams, is always on the phone, providing mentorship to every one of the companies that comes through the Hult Prize. A legend, not just in the tech space, but also in the social enterprise space. Premal Shah from Kiva. As you can see, folks, we've put together a judging panel which is as stellar as the teams you're going to see here presenting today. We're going to fire it off. The ground rules are simple. Each one of the teams will come up. They'll give a 6-minute presentation. The judges will then have an opportunity to engage in question and answer. We're often asked, is the winner pre-selected? The answer is absolutely not. This is all happening in real time, live. And to our jury, we really thank you guys for the time, effort, and role you're playing in the future of business and being here today. So we ready? Teams? Guys ready? So we're going to ask the first presenting startup. Judges, you guys ready to go? To come out here. This startup name is Magic Bus Ticketing. Magic Bus, I first got the opportunity to meet them when they attended our Hult Prize Accelerator program, and I walked in and there was only 2 members of the team inside the office space over at Hult International Business School. And I asked the team, I said, Iman, where's the rest of your team? She said, they're piloting. And mind you, this was a team that was formed in October of this year for this challenge specifically. Welcome them up to the stage and let them tell you not only were they piloting, but just how far they've come in revolutionizing transportation, not just where they're operating, but all across Africa. Good luck.
Where does this road lead to? Access. Access to opportunities. Transportation is the bridge to opportunities. In Africa, millions of people every day struggle to get from point A to point B. In my country, Congo, just like in Kenya, where my teammate Wycliffe is from, access to opportunities depends a lot on chance. Like the chance to catch the right bus at the right time. I am one of the lucky ones who got the chance to grab the right opportunities that allow me to stand in front of you today. In Nairobi, most people are dependent on matatus. These are privatized and informal minibuses. Unlike New York, where buses have fixed fares and schedules, in Nairobi, we don't. This is a day in Nairobi. If I catch the bus at the main terminal, I will wait for it to be full before it moves on to the next stop. The bus doesn't know the demand along the route, hence it waits. If I catch it along the route, I will wait even longer. The bus will pass when it's already full. People often don't know when the bus will come, waiting up to 2 hours. And commuters often don't know what they will be charged. Inconsistent pricing can cause these commuters to lose up to 50% of their daily income. There are 2 bottlenecks: the unknown demand for the buses, which in turn causes the uncertainty for the commuters.
The solution? Magic Bus. We are the first company in Africa that aims to improve predictability in the bus system using offline technology. Our holistic approach increases certainty for both commuters and buses using something that they already have, a basic phone. Magic Bus is an offline application that allows the urban commuter to do 3 things: text to find a bus, text to pay using mobile money, and text to ride. Our robust ticketing system connects the bus to the commuter through a tablet installed in the bus, allowing the bus to know the demand along the route. This is how it works. The commuter dials a short code, selects pickup and drop-off locations. The commuter selects bus options based on estimated time of arrival and fare, and then pay using mobile money. No internet required. It is as easy as text, book, ride. Now, commuters can benefit from certainty, increasing their chances of accessing opportunities.
This is no longer just a theory. With only $10,000, we have piloted extensively in Nairobi. In 9 weeks, we've seen more than 5,000 booked tickets with more than 2,000 unique users, 73% of who used Magic Bus more than 3 times. 1 out of every 4 commuters saved 1 hour per day. For informal workers, this could translate into $1 extra of income. Now, before entering a bus, commuters can compare fares and find the best price, enabling them to save up to half of their daily income. Here's the larger perspective. Every day in Nairobi, lost productivity equals $5.4 million. Certainty in transportation is a huge opportunity to increase GDP, as well as facilitate access to jobs, education, and healthcare. In fact, commuters love Magic Bus. Peter got home in time to finish his homework. Susan was able to spend more time with her son. The results of the pilot have far exceeded our wildest expectations. We were most excited to discover that Magic Bus enables the bus crews, teams of drivers and conductors, to double their income. Before Magic Bus, a driver makes 16 trips and waits about 20 minutes before starting each trip, meaning that there's 5 hours of lost productivity every single day. Saving time is crucial because drivers only earn income after paying the rental fee for the bus. The more trips he makes, the more income he earns. Now, the Magic Bus driver knows the demand along the route. His wait time reduces to 10 minutes, aggregating into 2 extra trips. He goes from earning $5 to $10 a day, doubling his income. This Magic Bus is a win-win for both commuters and bus crews. 5 bus cooperatives with 100 buses each have already agreed to use our service. With MIT's digital matatus, we will map the routes of African cities as we scale, allowing us to scale quickly to markets with the same criteria of high mobile adoption and informal transportation, doubling the incomes of 1.4 million drivers and conductors, impacting more than 24 million commuters across 29 cities. We charge each bus a 5% transaction fee per ticket. By year 2, we break even, operating on 10,000 buses by mid-2018 in 11 cities. We recover from the tablet cost by having each crew pay $1 daily installments. We are a team of resilient creators 100% committed to this mission. With Magic Bus, transportation becomes the bridge to access opportunities. Thank you.
Well done, Magic Bus. That's pitch number 1, and you guys can't see their clock. Literally, with 1 second left, they wrapped up. So, again, good. Who's going to start off our Q&A, judges? We'll put 5 minutes on the clock. Please, Brian.
So I have a question for the team, which is when the news of the great success of Nairobi hits the world, and other people want to do your business model, what is it, either in the application or your relationships, that makes it sustainable and competitively protected for you?
Yes, so we believe that competition is not avoidable. So just like Uber and Lyft, we're trying to be the Uber for public buses. And the way we do that, especially during our pilot, we have provided customer benefits to ensure loyalty. And these include discounts as well as incentives.
When I looked at the USS, the menu, you only had about 8 or so locations. How do you make that dynamic? So if you're running in Eldoret, for example, how do you make it dynamic for, wherever you are?
So the good thing with USSD is that it is menu driven, so any location can be added to the menu. So right now we have been piloted with 3 different cooperatives, and for each cooperative, it has a route. And for each route, it has different stops. So according to your route, you will be able to get access to your different stops for pickup and drop-off location.
What are the key risks to your business?
So one of our main risks is basically market-driven. So we know that societies such as Nairobi are very much cash-driven. So our solution is about mobile money, and we would like to basically see that change in behavior happen. And that will need to actually iterate our process for customer feedback as we grow.
You talk about 10, 11 cities. Have you thought about the externalities? So, the willingness of the bus companies to embrace this technology, the willingness of the staff to embrace it, the regulation that you might have to deal with across the 11 cities?
So basically, we started with showing our metrics first, because you have to gain trust in order to operate in this market. So we started with free trial and then show our metrics, and that's why 5 cooperatives, each having 100 buses, have registered in us. We know that as we scale to other countries, there are some countries which don't have cooperatives. And so we want to expand the Kenyan model and show them that there are benefits that come with operating in cooperatives, and there is also an impact that we are providing, which is reducing waiting time and doubling the income. Yes.
I have a question about scalability. You use the Uber model, but if you look at Uber and how conservative they were, at least in the first couple of years, I'm wondering how you can go from 500 buses to 10,000 buses in a year and a few months.
Slide 57, please. So basically, our sales process, we have a sales process that takes us less than a month to go through. In Kenya, we have 629 cooperatives, having 100 buses, at least 100 buses each. Out of this, we have identified 325 of them who are our first priority customers, and we've negotiated with 32 of them, 28 of which have said yes, and 10 of them have finished the documentation to become Magic Bus customers, each of them having at least 100 buses each. So, if, for example, to break even, we need at least 5,000 buses, which is 50 cooperatives, and it takes us less than a month to get 10 of them. Yes.
What do you worry about most when the 4 of you are by yourselves and you say, here's the one thing that could trip us up? What's the one you worry about the most?
Basically, we worry about network connection. When we first went to Kenya, we didn't think that we thought that network is widely available. Then in some areas, we found that the network connection is very poor, especially when you're using USSD. So we worked with the telecom company, Safaricom we were using, and then with them we were able to diagnose, we were able to show them areas where network connection were poor, and as we go along, we partner with them to mutually benefit together. Yes.
The issue of the cities, what you picked Nairobi, which is great, but if you look at how the population dynamics will look at in the world, in Africa, it's likely going to be in Lagos, in Kinshasa, and Egypt. What's your plan to do that? Because if you can get it to work in those 3 cities, then I can be sure that you're going to really succeed.
First, we show impacts and our metrics and convince them and win their trust, and then we scale.
Time.
Yeah.
Great. Give it up for the company. Great job, guys. And I know they got your attention. Magic Bus has been rated one of the top 3 transportation startups in Kenya. So well done, guys. We're proud of you. We got 4 more. Everybody having fun? Now, our next team has the chance to not only revolutionize the sector that they're going after, but to bring the idea of for good, for-profit business to the entire region of Latin America. They are 4 Mexican women on a mission to change the landscape in Mexico and do it in a way that will forever change the way business is done and the way the community looks at how women are involved in this sector, not just in Latin America, but around the world. ProTrash, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Imagine finding a $24 billion market opportunity that could change the reality of millions of people living in urban crowded spaces. What if I told you that this opportunity is trash? We are ProTrash, and we are here to increase income opportunities for women through recyclable waste. We are 4 Mexican women that are fortunate to be here. Yet, we have witnessed firsthand how people living in the outskirts of the cities don't have the same opportunities as us and deal with wealth polarization, poverty, and waste accumulation every day of their lives. And today, we are here to make a change for future generations. When we started our journey, we met Maria de Los Angeles. She told us she doesn't have the same job opportunities as men in her community. The main reason, she doesn't have an income. While getting to know her community, we noticed she's one of the 60 millions of Mexicans who live surrounded by waste. In Mexico, only 10% of the recyclable waste is actually being recycled. Half of the population has a formal waste management system. However, people living in low-income communities don't have the system, which creates an informal and undignified recycling process, which starts with the trash collector, who collects recyclable waste and sells it for a very low price to the chatarrero, the person in the community who owns a dump station. He then transports this waste and sells it to the recycling companies. We discovered that Maria does not sort or sell her recyclable waste because she is not aware there are income opportunities through these materials, which makes this whole system economically inefficient. We discovered that the billion-dollar bottleneck is stuck at the collecting stage of the process because 90% of the recyclable waste is not being collected. ProTrash will disrupt this existing recycling industry by creating a system that uses logistics, technology, and community engagement in order to create a sustainable and scalable business. We create the nation's largest marketplace for waste in low-income communities. First, we engage with the community and create a new source of income for women through their recyclable materials. Maria can sort her recyclable waste at home, which is 2 kilograms each day, take it to a ProTrash center, and receive money instantly. She now has the opportunity to receive an extra income starting at $30 or almost 600 pesos, which is enough to cover some of her basic necessities. We engage with the chatarrero in order to create this marketplace for waste by turning their existing dump stations into ProTrash branded centers. This gives them access to the network of users who are part of ProTrash, which increases the volume up to 10 times more what he did before. We also implement a selling control system that is a control selling system for the amount of waste brought in and the amount of money being paid to the women. He now can more than double his income through the volume of waste, optimize his space, and have capital expenditure for future investment.
In order to complete the process, we engage with the recycling companies. This is to be the best connection between each stakeholder in the value chain. Now, when the chatarrero sells the trash to the recycling companies, they transfer the money to us in order for ProTrash to distribute it between the chatarrero and the woman. And ProTrash earns a revenue just by earning a percentage of each kilogram of waste that is processed with our system. We are the only formal company that pays for collecting recyclable waste in low-income communities. And we create a network that enhances and grows the whole recycling industry without taking anyone out. We also have a substantial environmental impact. Due to the research done by the Harvard School of Public Health, it is shown that ProTrash can reduce 2.3 million tons of CO2 emissions just by operating in Guadalajara. This is the same as taking out from the street 180,000 cars. Our first ProTrash center is present in Maria's community, Valle del Sol, and it has been an overwhelming success. We have seen how women in the community have changed their habits, picking up trash from the street and their homes, and working together as a community in order to have a better quality of life. Each ProTrust center is an individual sustainable business. With an initial investment of $15,000, we will be able to create a total revenue of $60,000 after the first year of operations. We want more people like Maria to break their poverty cycle. This is why we will use the $1 million in order to replicate ProTrash, where each center impacts 800 women directly. We will create $336 million of new incomes after 5 years of operations, placing 1,200 centers. We will have our break-even point after year 3, and we'll be cash flow positive after year 2. This will be possible with our scale-up plan that starts by placing ProTrash centers throughout the biggest cities of Mexico, reaching our goal of impacting more than 1 million people by 2022. And Mexico, it's not the end. This is a global problem, and it's present in other places like Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Our board of advisors makes us a complete team. We are supported by the #1 university in Mexico, Tec de Monterrey, the local government of Guadalajara, and the federal government of Mexico. We also have 2 signed agreements with recycling companies that are willing to work with us. We are sure, as a team, we have everything to make ProTrash come true. We want to change the reality of millions of people in our country. We are tired of being the audience of a reality that hasn't progressed. That's why, with your help, ProTrash will become a source of opportunities, one bottle at a time. Thank you.
Great presentation. With that, I'm happy to announce that Hult Prize is launching in country for a specific dedicated program for Mexico. So we're excited about that and you guys' role in doing that.
Okay.
Kathleen?
Hi. Great presentation. I think we all share a question, which is the recycling business and waste management can be a very corrupt industry. And I recognize you have relationships with the local government and with the federal government, but can you explain how your enterprise can avoid being caught up in fraud or corruption?
Slide 32.
Okay. Of course, what happens in Mexico is that this industry, it's already running in the formal waste management system, where they have unions, picker unions that work at the landfills. What we are creating, it's a marketplace that targets the trash that is not being collected in low-income communities. So we are not being a competitor into the local industry that already exists, and we are creating a new marketplace targeting a new sector that is people living in these communities.
Question, as you scale up the business, it's got an exciting projection. What happens to pricing as you flood the market and go from 11% being recycled up to 15 or 20%? And how does that factor into your revenue and profit projections?
Well, what we are going to do is to, the pricing of the trash, it's actually really volatile because it depends on market prices of petroleum and of copper in the case of PET and aluminum. So we depend on the prices that go through the market in the lapse of time. And what will happen in Mexico is that this is a really growing industry, and it's a new industry that it's having a great increase in the whole world. So we think with the scalable business, we will be able to impact a lot of people in Mexico, and the pricing and the whole industry will be great at the point that we can reach all of Mexico. Thank you.
Great presentation. It seems that a lot of the value that the ProTrash Center creates depends on being able to get more than 10% of people to start disposing of their recyclables. Do you think that the only incentive they need is money, or could there be a cultural barrier that actually still creates a hurdle for you to increase that number up from 10?
Okay, well, at the beginning, since June, we have our pilot running. So we saw the community and engage with the community. I guess that's one of the skills that we have is the skill and engagement in the community. So for us, we are approaching to the women in the community and giving an extra incentive that they don't see nowadays. So with us, we are improving and get a commission, extra financial commission for every woman who is subscribed in our program in ProTrash. So that's the way that we are incentive to both sides, the culture and about the incentives to give in their households.
It's very rare to see a startup think so out of box on an ecosystem and the power of an ecosystem around you. Lots of times you like to get an idea of how a startup team thinks about this and where the idea came from. How did you arrive at this, and how did you arrive at being so creative on the ecosystem and the enlistment of half the population on a gender basis?
Well, thank you for asking that. Actually, we have really particular backgrounds here, and this makes us have a systemic thinking that have made us think exactly what you said, out of the box. So we thought about this by analyzing the urban space that was surrounding us, and what we saw was that trash was a protagonist in the urban image in the outskirts of our cities in Mexico. And I think it repeats all around the world. What we did was to start searching what happened around the world with the trash and the waste management systems and see how first world countries or other countries did it well. And finding their solutions, we adapted to Mexico, and this is the solution what we came to.
Last question.
What happens if you don't win the $1 million prize?
Good question.
We keep going, so we believe enough in us, and we need us, the community, because we have a really good engagement with those communities. So we know that those people really need us. So we want to change the reality of million people in our country, starting in our country, and then to the rest of the world.
Thank you very much, ProTrash. Thank you. And Brian or John, to follow up on your question of how they got to think outside the box, I want to take that moment to thank my Hult Prize incubator team, Kareem Sumra, who led our incubator this summer, and all of our great partners. So we host these teams every year for 8 weeks at the Hult National Business School in Cambridge. And we are so happy that the entire Boston community, from the government, the local government there, as well as MIT, the Hult International Business School, of course, our anchor, Harvard, and others, come together to help us. And of course, with EF Education First always by our side to help us with partnerships, media, etc., our teams develop and use that local ecosystem. One team that knows about local ecosystems is the next competitor here in the Hult Prize. It's Simprints. Simprints from the UK have developed a breakthrough in ecosystem plays for the urban poor. They've moved, come on up, guys. They've moved the market away from looking at those that reside in some of the most remote places in the world and in urban centers and given them an identity. They've just got back from Nepal, where they've had a phenomenal launch and test, and I'm personally excited to see the results and how you guys have progressed through the summer. So with that, Simprints, the stage is all yours.
Hi everyone, we're Simprints, and it's a real privilege to be here. In the next couple minutes, I want to show you 3 things. First, why the inability to identify people is a critical bottleneck in the fight against poverty. Second, how our mobile biometric solution can bridge this gap. And third, how with Hult's help, we're going to double millions of incomes for people living in crowded urban spaces over the next 5 years. But first, do me a favor. Imagine for a second what would happen if I right now reached into your wallet and threw away your credit cards and ID. I erased your social security number, credit history, everything. What type of job could you get without those things? What education, bank loans, or other services could you access? Without the ability to be identified, our economic opportunities are severely limited. Yet today, 1.5 billion people, the majority living in urban slums, lack any formal identification. That's 1 in every 5 people on the planet, trapped in what the World Bank calls the identification gap that reduces incomes and access to services. And the consequences for organizations that are trying to fight poverty are very real. This is Grace, a trainer in TechnoServe's Stride program. She works with unemployed youth in a 3-month training course, giving them the vocational skills, educational qualifications, and financial support needed to get jobs. And research has proven that programs like this can double incomes. But Grace faces a challenge. How can she enroll and track participants if she can't reliably identify them? She can take their name, but that name might overlap with thousands of other names in that slum. She can take their date of birth, but many of her poorest participants don't even know the exact date they were born. So despite her best efforts, she faces 3 critical bottlenecks. First, if her students drop out, she has no way to follow up because she can't track who's participating. While second, her other students may be refused bank loans and key support needed to start businesses or increase their incomes. And third, donors and stakeholders are constantly pressing Grace for accurate beneficiary numbers that are impossible to generate, meaning less money for Grace's program and directly excluding the poor that could benefit from these services. And Grace isn't alone. While there's no magic bullet to ending poverty, there are right now thousands of organizations, businesses, and governments all around the world trying to deliver the key services in finance, education, and healthcare needed to increase incomes. And they're deploying literally billions of dollars in capital that should be fighting poverty, but instead is getting bottlenecked by challenges in identification. If we could unlock this bottleneck, we could change the lives of millions.
So we built Simprints, a low-cost biometric solution that uses people's natural identifiers, their fingerprints, designed to empower people and projects just like Grace at TechnoServe to identify beneficiaries anywhere, anytime, so they can deliver the life-changing services needed to increase incomes. Simprints works by plugging into digital tools increasingly used by NGOs, leveraging a unique fingerprint technology which we developed during our research at the University of Cambridge, with software that can process the scarred, worn fingerprints typically found among the world's poor and link them to consistent digital ID and key services. And we designed Simprints to scale from day one. It's incredibly safe and secure with sequestered databases and double encryption. It adheres to Europe's privacy and data protection standards, the strictest in the world. And it uses ISO interoperability, meaning it can stand alone or plug into existing national systems like India's Aadhaar scheme, supporting rather than duplicating government efforts. Our solution is also super rugged and completely code-proof. With help from the Hult accelerator, we've developed a sales funnel which targets programs that research has proven can more than double incomes. Yet these organizations are currently relying on weak identifiers like names or dates of birth, which create inaccurate databases that actually cost a lot of money to deduplicate and maintain. Instead, Simprints charges 50 cents per user per year, more than a $2 saving, for an end-to-end solution consisting of hardware, software, and support. Simprints is unique because it doesn't just offer one solution to increase incomes. Instead, it empowers thousands. And we have shown that clients will pay for this. During the Hult accelerator, we implemented our first paid contract in Nepal, reaching 30,000 people with an NGO called Possible. This is one of 2 paid contracts we have already secured, in addition to 7 signed letters of intent from leaders in this field, including TechnoServe, BRAC, and Catholic Relief Services. And we have the right team for this. Alexandra, our genius engineer and a top 200 biotech mover and shaker. Dan, our super data scientist and a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur. Listed alongside Toby, our management guru, and myself, a serial entrepreneur with a passion for sales. And we've also set up the right partnerships in hardware, software, design, and distribution needed to create impact at scale.
So with Hult's help, we are going to bring Simprints to market. In year 1, we will launch our first 2 guaranteed deployments, building out capabilities with smaller projects, all the way up to delivering on major government contracts, empowering the critical services needed to double incomes. meaning that the unemployed youth trained by Grace and the millions like them are no longer invisible, but have the right to be counted and access the tools needed to double their own incomes. And together, we can start to build a world where every person counts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sim Prince. Kick it off with the judging panel.
Sure, that was a great presentation. How is this different than what exists? How are you going to win? Who else is selling to the same customers?
It's a really important question. Biometrics isn't a new industry. However, and there's a lot of really exciting biometric projects that are just starting to look at this. However, there's some seriously critical challenges right now in the biometric solutions that exist for these populations. If we could go to slide 32, please.
Great, thanks. So one of the most critical challenges is actually building biometrics for the developing world. And actually, no biometric company actually builds for poor populations. So this is a picture I took of a woman I met in Nepal. 20 years of manual employment have literally worn her fingerprints down. And that's the reality for many people in her slum. So when you try to use a traditional biometric system, it's very difficult to actually get a fingerprint image from her. And often, you won't even be able to identify her. So leveraging our research at the University of Cambridge, we developed a fingerprinting technology that's 228% more accurate than the next best commercial system. And that's not just optimism. That's backed by an academic study where we hand-collected 135,000 fingerprint images from across Africa and South Asia, making it the largest academic study of its kind in the world.
Hold your applause, please. Hold your applause. You're taking away from their time.
So a question along that line. I love the architectural approach to it. And lots of times when you look at young teams, the product you start to build is not the one you end up with. Cisco started to build a product and we ended up in routers. Have you thought about your logical adjacencies that you move into? And then a secondary question, if your fingerprinting capability is 228 times more effective than others, why wouldn't you fund the company by selling that technology off to governments for their own census in the developed countries and build off of it? So I'm looking at market adjacencies and how you think about the market.
It's a really good question. We never even meant to go into the hardware space when we first started this. We had just had a problem that we wanted to solve, that we saw from firsthand experience how frustrating it was. And so we're incredibly open to working with the right partners, like some of the ones we put on screen earlier, to help us actually bring that to market. Over time, our number one job, is to stay focused on breaking the identification bottleneck. So if we move into other biometrics, we're open to fingerprints, we're open to iris. If we look at other partners, other technologies, we're really open to doing that. The end of the day, our job is impact. And I think this journey, we're going to pivot along the way, whatever it takes to get there.
Just a follow-up question on that. You showed us all the list of all those guys that have signed up to your great ideas. Why wouldn't they just simply buy this off you? Why must they pay 50 cents per person?
Actually, what we're selling is not only the technology, and just having the technology is not enough for a solution to be effective. So on top of the hardware and the software that we are selling, it's also the maintenance, and no service can work with the maintenance. So while our technology has, you need a mobile phone, you have the hardware, we also have a database cloud and the whole system that you need to run the server. So obviously people could just buy the technology, but actually it's more difficult to maintain than it sounds. So many of our clients prefer to actually have us as a service rather than just buying the solution.
So that's an interesting one, because do you then have the field force to be able to deal with that once you get out into Nepal and into Kenya and into South Africa? How are you going to handle that?
So what we do essentially is we leverage the already existing distribution networks that these organizations have. So what we do, for instance, Dan and I, we came back from Nepal 3 weeks ago, and we carried out the first Simprints training. What this means is we built the capabilities of the organization, of sort of managers and supervisors, so they can train the frontline workforce. And this is our distribution channel, which means that once we work with these organizations and we've trained the managers, They can then take it forward and expand it within their organization as they want.
Where's the database being managed?
So it has to work offline. So the actual database can run on the phone itself. Tons of development organizations are already using digital data tools. We can sync periodically to the cloud when there's access to data, because that allows you to start connect unique IDs across different locations. That's incredibly valuable for the clients we work with.
All right. Thank you very much, Sim Prince. So we've got 3 down, 2 to go. I'm going to ask Sammy to make his way up to the stage. You may be asking yourself why this fine young Bangladeshi gentleman is standing up here by himself. He's one of the most resilient entrepreneurs we've ever had come through the Hult Prize. Unfortunately, due to visa challenges, half of his team was unable not only to be here tonight, but to endure the 8-week accelerator program in Boston. So he showed up. He's one of our youngest participants, but resilient. His team won the local round of Hult Prize, not only at Brack University, but through wider Bangladesh, advancing over 1,000 entrepreneurs, and then further winning in one of our semi-final locations in Shanghai. So their team knows a thing or two about resilience, and we're so pleased to introduce all of you to our Hult Prize community. On the last night of our accelerator about a month ago, Sammy gave a little speech which touched me, and I'll share with you before he kicks off. In that, he said, I came to this accelerator by myself due to some unfortunate circumstances. But again, his team is in Bangladesh on the ground piloting. I came by myself, but I'm leaving as a greater part of the family, and that's an extension of what we do here at Hult Prize and the community we build. So, Sammy, thank you for enduring. This idea is the real deal, so listen up. Sammy?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I am the CEO of Synergy, an e-commerce platform that connects micro-entrepreneurs to the global market to double their income. We're starting off by connecting informal artisans and tailors to the ethical fashion industry. Now, the UN's head of Ethical Fashion Initiative called this the future of fashion, and 2 billion millennials who spent $50 billion on ethical fashion last year proves it. Now, growing up in Bangladesh, and through extensive field research, we have seen that the most vulnerable people choose to work in the informal economy as a source of income. However, that drives poverty. And studies by the World Bank and ILO has proven that the only route to greater income is through social and economic inclusion. However, inclusion to the formal market is a pipe dream for people like Halima, an informal artisan in the slum of Bauniabad, Dhaka. Despite having valuable skills, she is not given access to the formal market due to numerous discriminatory, infrastructure, and legal barriers that will take decades of government intervention to overcome, while she's lost in the endless cycle of poverty in the informal economy. That is why Synergy has revolutionized inclusion by bringing the entire formal market right at the doorstep of these informal actors, leveraging the power and ubiquity of e-commerce. Now, our entire operation runs in 3 phases. First, order on our platform by our clients. Second, manufacturing by our community of micro-entrepreneurs. And finally, logistics and shipping by our partner. When we receive an order on our platform, we send SMS notification to our community of entrepreneurs. Halima, like her other counterpart entrepreneurs, go to the nearest Synergy hub, from where they receive a short briefing on the item that they have to make and a product prototype. Later, they're giving a Synergy Smart Box, which contains all the necessary items and materials in the right proportion. Now, Halima can make all of the items with full care from top to bottom, with full attention, and right from the comfort of her own house. She's also visited by a Synergy inspector who's trained and certified to make sure that she ensures standardized quality and prevent errors. After a final quality control check, all the units from all of our hubs are collected by our transportation and logistics partner, Eva Transport, and shipped to our clients. Now, how does it impact
So what does
Halima?
this mean for Halima? For her, it's life-changing. It's a surprise to cook food with fortified oil. It's a dream come true, watching her daughter in the school uniform. It's the greatest happiness to provide her with nutritious foods. All of this is now possible because of a 240% jump in her income. And now, she is truly empowered.
That is why Synergy's solution is truly holistic. We start off by providing training and skill development with our NGO partner Ucho and Bragg, with 25 years of experience providing vocational training to urban slum women. And then we give them a stable form of income and the freedom of an entrepreneur through our platform. Finally, Bragg, the largest NGO in the world who's our partner, helps to recruit women like Halima, and Jago Foundation provides education for their children. Now, every Synergy hub takes $3,000 in setup cost and has the capacity to make 30,000 units every year. That can raise up to $83,000 in profit, and because our revenue model is based on profit sharing, we take 12% and the rest goes to our entrepreneurs. This means every Synergy hub is not just sustainable on its own, but can give rise to numerous hubs over 1 year. And we have already generated revenue. In the last couple of months, we have generated $2,500 that we have dispersed to our entrepreneurs. So that's why we're ready to scale. We want to reach 8 different countries across Latin America, Africa, and Asia, and impact nearly 2 million lives. And our scaling is also dependent on our ability to have customers. That is why we're proud to present our partnership with Ogilvy. Ogilvy is the world's largest marketing firm, and together with their collaboration, in the last 2 months alone, we have had 19 signed deals from international and local fashion brands. That's 500,000 units with $3.5 million for Synergy to produce. And even more exciting, we have partnered with ethical luxury brand Q by Cassie Gibson. And with her help, Halima could make this beautiful dress. So this means we need the $1 million for the first 2 years, where we need $600,000 to cover our losses. And from then on, we become cash flow positive. And the rest of the money goes into the further development of our platform. And we didn't end that far. If we win here tonight, we get $250,000 in investment, a commitment from SKS Foundation. And the New Star Film Corporation already promised $125,000 in commitment. And Grameenphone, the largest telecom in Bangladesh, $12,000 in marketing. And with our CSR program, we already have international brands such as Wells Fargo and Marks & Spencer to support us. And with our extended program, we can even make custom branded clothing for these corporates. And this is the team that can make it happen. And while I stand here today, my team is working hard to create social impact that is sustainable and delivers immediate and tangible impact. So imagine what 5 years of Synergy and $1 million can do. Thank you.
Good. We want to ask the judges to please speak into the mic so they can hear you. We've got over 20,000 people watching online, and they can't hear your voices, so lean in a little bit.
How long has your team been together?
So our team has been working for over a year now, but we only come together for the Hult Prize and this particular project for the last 6 months.
Your skill sets of your team. One of the things that you watch with successful entrepreneurs, the CEO is the most important, but do they have diversity of skill sets that play together? It's hard to judge them without not being here. If you are being modest, not being modest, tell us what the rest of your team's like and what roles each one play.
Thank you. So I, for instance, although I'm the CEO, I'm a computer science student, and the entire idea of it came to me in a networking class. So I bring my technological expertise in this and also the philosophies of internet and connectivity in connecting these people to the global market. I have 2 more team members who are also from business backgrounds and another from computer science background. So all of us combined together, we have the knowledge to bring business and technology together in a culmination to do real good.
First of all, thanks for the presentation, and I commend you for your courage to be doing this alone. My question is, if we sort of unpack, one area of the business, which is the logistics. I mean, can you comment on how feasible it is to be able to manage shipping to customers that may be around the world if you're deploying from Bangladesh?
Right. So EVA Transport not only does local logistics, but they also do international logistics. So they have ships that can go abroad, but they also have minivans in the form of Tata Nanos that were very available in South Asia. So this Tata Nanos so we can hire them for an entire day, and that van would go around the entire city, picking up from Synergy hub points and collecting them together. And then the extended part of their program where they ship it to international clients, they take it over from there. All of them are done by EVA Transport, who does both logistics internally within the city and ships outside.
The international buyers are very strict when it comes to quality standards. And what happens to Halima if she's not able to meet that quality? What will happen to them?
Right. So because we're working with ethical fashion and slow fashion, we have a little more time frame. So we believe in developing a long-term relationship with our clients. So every time we have a new product, we do sample testing. All of our entrepreneurs have prototype products, and they can look at this. They even have pictorial instruction in the Synergy Smart Box. So every time they make something, we know exactly what they're doing. And the Synergy inspectors go there, and on every phase of the process, from cutting to tailoring to sewing, all of them are monitored by Synergy inspectors. And before they move on to the next phase, if they make a mistake, it is stopped in the first phase to prevent that. And because we're having a long-term relationship with our clients, for instance, Cassie Gibson, sometimes they even collaborate to find the design on what they're making and how they want that too.
And what's your current rejection rate?
So rejection rate in terms of churn rate, although we've been running for such a small time, we never had much. But we'd estimate about 5% as we grow Scalar along, because as of right now, the customers we have, they're very much determined to work with us, and they love the idea of empowering the poor while making dresses that they want of high quality and handcraftsmanship.
Follow-up question on your retail brands that are supporting you. What protections are you giving them on their intellectual property and their brand designs, which are so precious to them, and they're releasing them into the world?
Right. So they're releasing them directly to our platform. So every file they upload, every design they upload goes directly to our servers, and we encrypt them. We keep them to ourselves, and we do not have access to anyone else. And because we're working with registered companies, with international companies, we exactly know that this particular item or this particular design are done by them, are unique to them. Thank you.
But also one problem that you have is energy. What percentage of these households or Halima will have access to electricity to be able to do the job?
Right. So if I could go to slide. So most of the machineries that they use are used by Singer, one of the largest sewing machines company in the entire world. And those are mostly hand-driven or pedal-driven. So they do not require too much electricity. So that's why we are cutting down on electricity. And our infrastructure cost is very low because we only run a hub. We do not work there. We do not have lines there of production. So consumption of electricity is significantly lower because most of this work are done by entrepreneurs at their workstation or from their home. And we also have a program where these entrepreneurs can have this sewing machines on an installment basis because we have partnership with Singer, one of the largest producers of sewing machine in Bangladesh, in the world, sorry.
You're probably not going to be able to answer this in the time, but one of the things I see with startups around the world that are based upon engineers and technologists, they don't understand sales or go-to-marketing. So think about getting somebody who really understands that. Probably 40% of the startups fail because they don't get that right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Please, round of applause for Synergy. Great. So we have one more startup to go, and then we'll give everybody an intermission break. But the next team, last but certainly not least, has made tremendous amounts of progress in a market where some argue startups, systems, franchises are nearly impossible. One of their team members was recently named specifically for this project as by the World Economic Forum as one of the top women innovators in the world. I'd like to ask Musana to make their way to the stage.
Good luck.
Oh, wait. Look here. I forgot.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and tonight I've brought each of you a Rolex. Not the watches from Switzerland, but the fastest growing street food in Africa. You've had them on your plates. Did you try them? It's also how Musana Carts is going to double the income of 1 million people. Come with us and we'll show you how. This is my fellow Ugandan, Kiza, and this is what African street vending looks like today. Your Rolex wasn't made on a cart like this, but you're beginning to get a glimpse into some of the issues that Kiza struggles with. He has 3 major problems. His cart is dirty and unsafe. A lot of people don't feel comfortable eating food from a cart that looks like this. He is unlicensed. Every day, he faces the risk of being evicted from the market or having his goods seized by the authorities. And he only earns $6 a day to support his family of 5. We have this problem that we're going to solve. 167 million people suffer from these challenges across sub-Saharan Africa every day. We have the solution. We're going to solve Kiza's problems, and we're going to scale this. Keisuke, show them how.
Okay, we are what every street food vendor needs. We take them from surviving to thriving in 3 ways. 1, our carts are clean and safe, encouraging new customers to buy from a Musana cart. 2, we give them a government-approved license, which makes them legal and stable. 3, we have solar electricity, which enables the vendors to do 2 things. To have light, employing people for an evening shift, and to charge phones, adding a new revenue stream. These 3 innovations more than double the income of street vendors in Kampala. Right, Manon?
Yeah. There are 10 Musana carts operating in Kampala as we speak. Each cart employs 6 vendors, 3 for the day shift and 3 for the night shift. Our Musana carts pilot has already tripled the income of 60 licensed street vendors. How is that possible? Now, Kiza is licensed from day 1. On a bad day, he sells twice as many Rolexes, doubling his income to $12. On a good day, he sells 4 times more. For the first time, new customers in Kampala feel safe eating street food. And with access to electricity, Kiza charges up to 30 phones a day, earning an additional $3 per day. His income has more than doubled. Now, on average, Kiza earns a secure $20 per day, as much as a taxi driver in Uganda. And how do we make money? By doing 2 things: hardware sales and advertising. We sell our carts directly to street vendors at a 25% markup. And with our financing program, they own their carts within 1 year. Also, we will sell ad space on each cart for over $300 per year. This ad revenue stream will keep us sustainable as we expand. Actually, our expansion has already started. Our vendors are paying us back weekly, and we have received more than 200 orders in only 3 months. In year 1, we will focus in Kampala, where we provide the only food cart licensed by the government of Uganda. In year 2, we will expand to the rest of the country, and we will be cash flow positive, ready to scale up our Musana Cart franchise model throughout sub-Saharan Africa. MTN, the largest telecommunication company in Africa, wants access to 10,000 carts by 2019. And we have been invited by the UNDP to provide Musana cards to youth and women in order to reach the gender equality goal of 2020. By 2022, we will have expanded to West Africa, generating $45 million profit and reaching 1 million vendors. Musana Cart's expansion will not stop until we put a life-changing tool into the hands of each and every street vendors in Africa.
We are three friends with a higher calling to give the people of the world tools of empowerment. We are the generation of change, and we have already moved to Uganda. We're already on the road to doubling the income of 1 million people. Our vendors are already offering the people of Kampala clean food that is made safely, sustainably, and is affordable. We need tonight's $1 million to do three things: continue to grow our fantastic team on the ground, manufacture our first 1,000 carts, and reach 60,000 vendors within East Africa in the next 3 years. Our idea is unfolding before our very eyes. We invite you tonight to support Musana and accelerate this change.
Great. Bob?
So what's to stop the halal boys to get into that market?
Halal guys, I think you mean.
Halal guys.
So we've designed an ecosystem around this cart. We provide maintenance, financial literacy training, health and sanitation training, and insurance for the first 3 years that a person owns this cart. We're working with the government to make sure that we meet all the requirements that are necessary and have a financial program to make it inclusive for our vendors. So it's all about the package that Musana brings, not just the cart.
I noticed that over half of your revenue stream comes from advertising. And what protection are you giving to advertisers to make sure that their ads stay up and are not replaced and maybe resold to other local advertisers?
So we maintain a very close relationship with our vendors. Our financing program works through the solar system. Every day they use M-Pesa or mobile money to pay for their $3. They receive a code that unlocks the solar system. This is how we maintain the payment schedule and how we make sure that they do not violate any of the regulations set by the city. And that will also help us make sure that they keep up to what we provide with the advertising.
Thank you.
So by focusing on empowering a lot of your customers with the licensing and ensuring that safety and hygienic standards are met, are you held liable in the event that something goes wrong?
Yeah, it's a great question. And yes, we are. We take that responsibility. What we're trying to be is the gold standard to push and break these barriers across sub-Saharan Africa. We have de facto exclusivity with the government of Uganda because we're the only ones trying to do this. And we want to take that risk. We do have an insurance provider that has our back in case anything goes wrong, but we're happy to take the step for all street vendors in Africa.
This seems like a natural approach for a development bank because it's access and your ability to scale. Have you approached any of the development banks either on the World Bank level or within Africa? And if so, what was their reaction?
So we've spoken to several banks in Uganda and one in Kenya, but we're really hoping to impress a certain someone tonight.
I would think regardless if you win this or not, we ought to find a way to open them up because that was one of the conversations with President Clinton today.
Absolutely.
And some of the large groups. This is a natural extension for a little bit of capital and big risk behind it.
Thank you.
What do you worry about? Since we're, when the three of you, same question we asked earlier with one of the other groups. What's going to trip you up and how do you prevent it?
So the first thing we were concerned about is stability in the region. We're starting in Uganda, which is my hometown, and I have an established network, and we just re-elected our president, so we have 5 good years. we also decided to get local support. So we work with the vendors and the communities. And in every market, you always find a mother or father figure that people respect and support. So they have been our go-to people to give demo cards, to help us get feedback, to understand what the people want. So regardless of any kind of regime change or government differences and administration, we have to make sure this is what the people want.
Where are you going to get your carts manufactured? And if it's not locally, have you seen any backlash from the local communities about that?
It's what we wanted to do. We tried to do that. So the first 10 carts that you saw were all manufactured locally in Uganda. But then the cost becomes too high for our clients. Because Uganda is landlocked, everything gets imported. So we're buying from wholesalers. So we decided to go straight to the source in China. And we've been looking at different manufacturers and now have a designated one with a quotation who understands exactly what we're trying to do and will help us reach economies of scale as we expand to keep the costs as low as possible so that as many vendors as we can are enabled to get these carts.
I have a question about the reliability of the solar. Maybe you could talk about the manufacturing process and
Our solar providers are a company called Phoenix International. They're the largest home solar system providers in Uganda. And they import their parts from Germany as well. We have two 17-watt solar panels on each cart with a 40-watt lithium-ion battery that will last 8 hours for backup power. We did inquire with the technicians, and as long as there's light, the solar panel will charge. So it's not about the exact sunshine. And being on the equator, Uganda seems a good place to start.
Do one more.
Quick one. Why
more
do you have to import this cart? It's a basic cart. Why can't this be made in Uganda?
It's the steel. It's so expensive. We went to so many different workshops. We really, really wanted to do that. But if we import the parts, we can still assemble them in Uganda at least.
Great.
Thank
Give it up for Musana Karts from Hult International Business School. Great. 5 teams, 5 dreams. We're all here for the same reason. I want to ask the judges to make their way backstage. You guys are going to enter probably one of the toughest deliberations we've had in the history of the Hult Prize. Before we break to our schmooze, so the rest of the housekeeping is we're going to schmooze for about 45 minutes. I want everybody in this room to ask themselves how they can help one of these 5 companies here today. Thanks to the great work of Kristen Gerber and Mintz Levin, each one of these teams is incorporated, registered, and ready for partnership, investment, and your support. Okay? And I just want to extend, before you guys get up, we all sometimes overlook the unsung heroes of this event, Clinton Global Initiative at large. And I don't know that this has ever been done, so I'd like to do it here on behalf of all of CGI. I want to ask Annalise, Dave, the production team that is backstage, and they've been backstage for the last how many years for Hult Prize and how many years for the Clinton Global Initiative. Can you guys come out on stage so we can recognize you guys? Here they come, please. It's probably going, Mark, if Mark's in the house, he's the owner of Round Box, which puts on these events. Yeah, come on out, guys. Good, thank you. They're shy. If you see them around, thank them. But anyway, I ask all you guys to schmooze, talk about your favorite teams. President Clinton will be here in about 45 minutes or so. We'll let the judges deliberate, and we'll have ourselves a 2017 challenge announcement and a 2016 winner. All right? Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program is about to resume. Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The Hult Prize is about to be announced. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Founding Chairman, Clinton Global Initiative, 42nd President of the United States, President William Jefferson Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I always love this night, and we're a little late because all the teams did such a good job. The judges were back there having every politician's nightmare. They couldn't decide on who the winner was, and they debated back and forth extensively. I want to first congratulate all the student teams for what I thought was a truly remarkable set of ideas. I thank the Hult executives, Philip Hult, Stephen Hodges, and Ahmad Akhshar. I want to acknowledge the distinguished panel of judges. Thank you to Akinwumi Adesina, Mohammed Ashur, John Chambers, Bob Collymore, Brian Featherstone, Kathleen Rogers, and Pramal Shah. And I thank my friend of 33 years, Muhammad Yunus, for speaking tonight. He may have done more than anybody on the planet to create opportunities for millions of small entrepreneurs to turn their ideas, energy, and ability into greater prosperity. I'm grateful for the teams who spent a year looking for ways to increase economic opportunity in the world's poorest urban areas. Few things are more central to increasing human dignity and self-worth than the ability to provide for oneself and one's family. When people are able to take control of their own destinies, it gives them something to look forward to when they get up in the morning. When they know they can't, it breeds the kind of road rage we see manifest in the politics all over the world. We know intelligence and hard work are pretty well evenly distributed across the globe, and we know opportunities, resources, and systems to make things work or not. There are few places where this is more true than in our crowded, impoverished urban spaces. For those living at the bottom of the economic pyramid, there are any number of obstacles to prevent one from earning a good living, including access to transportation, capital, training, and markets. I'm always amazed by the resilience and ingenuity of people in difficult circumstances everywhere I go in the world. Yesterday, during the Haiti session, for example, we heard Duquesne Fenard talk about his work in the slum areas of Port-au-Prince, where his social business, D&E Green Technologies, has manufactured more than 100,000 clean cook stoves. Duquesne and his brothers also operate an important vocational training school in Port-au-Prince, in the very community they grew up, on the site of a former garbage dump, providing scholarships to hundreds of students from their community and other underserved areas. Students learn skills there, including how to become solar technicians and how to develop their own products, including clean cook stoves. There are many examples like this all over the world, but still more than 1 billion people live in urban poverty. They still need access to tools and conditions to thrive. The United Nations estimates that approximately 2/3 of the world's population will live in our cities by 2050. We must act now to build them a future of shared opportunity and prosperity. As you saw from their presentations tonight, the finalists in the Hult Prize have answered the call with an extraordinary level of creativity. While just one team will take the prize home, I can tell you that every one of these proposals has tremendous potential, and I personally hope they can all be funded. I encourage and the truth is that you never know which one's going to catch on the best till you actually implement them all. You know, one of the things I love about these reality TV shows like The Voice, all these talent shows in America, is that very often the person that turns out to have the richest, most productive career is the one who finished second or third in the contest. So don't forget that, all of you who are in a position to help these folks. I know you want to hear the winner, but I have to say a word first at the request of our sponsors about the 2017 Hult Prize Challenge. It comes at an urgent moment for the world. The UN estimates more than 60 million people globally are displaced because of conflict, environmental degradation, or lack of opportunity. 21 million are refugees, the largest since the end of World War II. As we watch the largest humanitarian crisis in most of our lives continue to unfold, we are reminded of the tremendous toll of involuntary migration, of the families broken up, the livelihoods lost, the physical and emotional suffering. My friend Frank Juster, who's been at most of the CGI, has spent an enormous amount of his time at the dropping off point for Syrian refugees. And he has arranged for the filming of thousands of them as they get off the boat looking for a new life. And he asks them two questions. What did you do before this happened? Most of them are working people or small business people and entrepreneurs. And second, would you like to go home? More than 90% say yes. So for the 2017 Hult Prize Challenge, students will be asked to develop new social enterprises that reduce the human cost of involuntary migration, with the goal of measurably restoring the rights and dignity of 10 million refugees. We don't have any time to waste. I hope that teams from around the world will answer the call and soon be busy, given the level of innovation and the urgency of the task. Now, I'd like to ask the judges to come back to the stage so we can announce the winner of the 2016 prize. I know they're here. Let's give them a hand. They had a hard job tonight. The winner is Magic Bus. Come on up. Come on up, come on up, come up. Come up. Come up, the team from Magic Bus. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really clever idea. Some wag will soon call it Uber for buses. 70% of Africa's population uses minibuses or matatas. Yet the transportation systems are plagued with inefficiencies. In Nairobi, commuters wait an average of 90 minutes a day for reliable transport. Inconsistent pricing results in commuters spending as high as 40% of their daily income. With unknown rider demand along the routes and long wait times at crowded terminals, Nairobi loses an estimated $5.4 million, Nairobi, in lost productivity every single day of the year. The Earlham College team, with their Project Magic Bus, has created an offline app where urban commuters can find, pay, and book bus seats via SMS. Commuters will be able to access a reliable bus schedule and to compare fares before getting on the bus. With more accurate information regarding demand, many buses will be able to make an average of 2 extra trips a day. And in addition to providing greater mobility and access, Magic Bus will increase productivity and put more money into the pockets of the people you all came here to help. So let's give them a big hand.
Far from home, it's for the better. What we dream, it's all that matters. We're on our way, united. Turn the crowd up now, we'll never back down. Shoot down the skyline, watch it on prime time. Turn up the love now, listen up now. Turn up the love. Who's gonna say who's gonna bring it back to life?